Check, check. Check. 1 2 1 2. Well, that was an issue. I don't know why my opening didn't come on. Let me check something out here. Sorry about that, folks. Let me see if this works. I don't know what's going on there. I hope I'm live. Oh, looks like I'm live. I don't know what happened to my opener. Wow. I don't feel like myself without my opener. That's okay. All right, let's get situated here. All right, so welcome to the show. Welcome to No BS with Bruce Snyder. I normally I'm on the air every Thursday night at 7 p.m. This past Thursday night, I couldn't make it due to a family obligation. So here we are this evening on Sunday at 7 p.m. I do look, I do like this time slot as well. Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. I like going up against 60 minutes. Hopefully I can get a few views and take a few views away from them. All right, good. So I'm live. Good stuff here. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, why that didn't play. But let me try something real quick. Hold on. Okay. I just was testing something. Somehow my opening video went out. That's God opening a door for me because I've been wanting to change the opener. So now he's telling me. So, all right. So we're gonna have a decent show here tonight. I'm looking forward to this one for sure. So what I'd like to do, and again, we normally give people a couple minutes. We get settled in here, make sure that there's no technical difficulties. You can hear me, you can see me okay. People get settled in, acclimated. You can see your comments on the screen right now. They come and go. I will be taking them off shortly here. I don't want it to be a distraction. I'm going to go over a little bit of the news here, and then we're going to get into the topic of tonight's show, which is the Great Awakening, and I will touch on that. There is a lot of let's see here. There is a lot of new people following me. Okay. And it still amazes me that people actually tune in or come to my page to listen or read what I have to say. That'll make sense later when I follow up on that. So what I'm going to do is real quick. Again, if you're new to my page, welcome. If you're new to first time listener, welcome aboard here. You can find most of my work when it comes to the podcast all on Rumble. Rumble would be it. I just started broadcasting regularly again to YouTube as well. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble right now. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to follow as well so you get those notifications. Again, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Is the show. And sometimes I do come on Sunday nights if it's a reschedule, like it is this week. And you can also count on me to break in at any given time, as long as I'm graced by the Lord to come on the air on any day of the week, any time of the week, to break in and bring you any major breaking news when it is warranted. So, all right. Again, what I'm going to do is, again, welcome to the show if you're new. And there are a lot of new people. There are a lot of new followers. My analytics seem to be going up on a daily basis for sure. And that's a wonderful thing. So I'm very grateful to have you here. I'll give you a little bit of background about me and a brief testimony towards the end of the show. I want to do it completely different this time. I'm going to save it for the end. I want to talk about a few things that are going to fit in with tonight's topic. I'm going to actually play a video clip from something. I don't want to give it away right now. It's an opening to a documentary, if you will, that was significant in my awakening all the way back in 2007. That is when I woke up, and that's when I surrendered. And we're going to get into all that, okay? But we're going to have a lot of Q&A tonight. You know, I want you to interact because I want to. Don't do it right now, okay? Because I won't get to them. But when I get to that point of the show, I want to hear from you. I already posted today on my social media pages what the Great Awakening meant to you, but we're going to do that tonight in the show as well. I'll go to some of those comments, and you know, I just want to have a deep conversation. I want to hear where you're coming from, what your belief is, and here's the thing: the warning about this show tonight. Um, Everybody is going to be in a different area when it comes to your awakening or your spiritual walk. Okay, we all have different seasons. I'm in a certain season right now. Okay, regardless of the fact that I surrendered back in 2007 and started waking up. This is a continuous journey. It doesn't just. It's not like it's um, okay. You completed the course, you graduate. There's no such thing. As a matter of fact, you're going to have a lot of roadblocks and pitfalls and along the way. And what you do with those roadblocks and pitfalls, um, which is your choice, will determine your growth in your awakening process. Um, that's why you'll never see the left right now awaken to anything because they play the victim card. And if you're playing the victim card, you're going to always live in misery. You're always going to live in lack and all that. So again, that's and I see that. I see that in the craziness of the left, but we'll get into that in a minute. So, and then, like I said, I'll give you a little bit for those who are new, a little bit of a background because it's going to go perfectly with tonight's show. Okay. I get many messages, as you know, on a daily basis when it comes to Facebook for the most part. And I don't get a chance to, I breeze through them. I don't get a chance to get to all of them. So again, you know, no disrespect. Please don't hold it against me. All right. If I never respond to you, it doesn't mean, believe me, it doesn't mean I'm some big shot or have this massive ego. I don't roll like that. Because if I do, you'll never end up seeing me again. I'll be gone. That'll make more sense later. But I get many messages. Okay. And I happen to get one today, one particular one, and just sticking out in my mind right now. And somebody had said to me, they messaged me, and I'm not going to give too much away, but they said that apparently, and I don't, I don't want to go down this road and put, I don't even know this person. So put it that way. All they said to me was they're new to my page. They were following another patriot truther, if you will. And this particular patriot truther apparently is in jail now. And again, I know nothing about this person. I'm just going off of what people are telling me. And they put a lot of stock into him and trust into him. And apparently this person scammed them out of money or something like that. And again, that has nothing to do with the show tonight at all. But all they said to me was, I think this is what this person said, something about they're following now and they hope that I'm authentic and they don't get burned. Not those exact words, but you understand what I'm saying. I can tell you, and my audience can tell you, which I'm so blessed to have. These are amazing people who follow me on a daily basis. Um, and they'll tell you that I'm the real deal. Um, when it comes to posting news and things like that, I make sure it's all factual. Okay. Um, I make sure when you come to my page, you're not going to get that BS, hence the name of my podcast, No BS with Bruce Snyder. You're not going to get any of that. And it's a pun off my initials as well. Uh, you're going to get the facts. Okay. Now, the only thing that you won't get the facts on are the educated uh, guesses or opinions when it comes to comms and Donald Trump and connecting Q sometimes. So that is the only thing when you come to my pages that will be a coin flip per se. Okay. And I like putting those out. They're far and few in between, but when I do, I make sure they're pretty much detailed and they hit the nail on the head, if you will. And I feel comfortable about it. One thing that's very important to me, and this goes with tonight's show, The Great Awakening, everything that I do is based on my discernment. You should see the number of times that I would go to create a post. And usually when I talk about a post, I don't mean necessarily a news post, but more of my opinion post. Okay. Whatever the topic may be. There are many times that when I write it out and I'll tweak it. And then something inside of me, and I'll spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes I have an hour on it. And something inside of me just tells me, do not post it. And I erase the entire thing. That's how I do everything. My discernment, I listen within. I've learned to listen within, part of my great awakening. It's taken me years to get to this point, to get comfortable with this relationship I have, this whether I'm tapped in the source or whatever you want to call it. And another thing too, once we get into this, I want to put a disclaimer on this because I know where some people come from. Okay, and I'm going to ask everybody politely and ask you kindly. Let's not. Let's have an open mind. I'm not here to ever sway you. I won't do that. I don't believe in shoving down religion down someone's throat. I'm more of, I'd rather, what I've learned in life, I'd rather be someone else's walking and talking Bible, if you will, compared to me trying to shove it down their throat. I don't, it's a turnoff. It was a turnoff to me when people wanted to shove God down my throat in my early recovery days. I wanted nothing to do with it or hear it. So it's a subject I approach very delicately, if you will. Okay. I believe nobody can be, just like I'm going to talk, I'm a very transparent person because I believe that God has, and I say this humbly, I believe God has chosen me. It's inside of me of what I'm doing. And later, once I get towards the end of the show, when I talk about my background, you'll understand. Um, I know there are people out there that they have massive egos. They treat their followers like crap. It's beyond me why you follow these people. It makes no sense to me. And I want nothing to do with that at all. I don't want no part of that. I don't care how big their platform is. And I'm not making this a contest. I guess the reason I'm saying this is because I want to separate myself from everybody else. And I want it to be bigger than just me being a news reporter. Because when this whole Great Awakening thing started, if you will, okay, I already knew right from the jump when Trump got the whole thing, when Q came out in 2017, late 2017 of October, And then people started to catch on. And as we went through the first Trump presidency and people started going down rabbit holes, especially when COVID hit, um, everybody was trapped in their homes and they really went diving down that rabbit hole. Um, I was already in an awakened state. Okay. And then I started seeing things about the Great Awakening. And I thought, well, that's quite interesting to me because it was exciting too, but I knew what it meant. And I kind of understand what it means right now. And it's connected to news, politics, and conspiracy theories, if you will. Okay. Just in a nutshell. But again, the disclaimer that I want to put on the show is let's have an open mind. I noticed in the comments that people are in different parts of their journey. Okay. I will say this without giving too much away. Um, if I disclosed everything about my journey and my walk, I'm going to disclose some, but my certain beliefs, okay, I'd probably have a lot of people unfollow me in a certain group. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that people would be offended. But I guess my point to that is, I in my journey, I have had the courage to question absolutely everything, even the stuff that was introduced to me as a child, in the belief system that was instilled in me, and then questioning that system, that belief system, made me feel real guilty because the belief system that was instilled in me um, taught me that I was supposed to feel guilt about certain things, and one of those things is questioning certain things. Um, so we'll get to that. So what I like to do first is, again, like I said, disclaimer: let's be open with everybody. Let's not turn this into a holy war. Whatever comments come on the screen here as the show goes on, I'll bring them on the screen as much as I can. And I want to hear everybody out. I'm very, very open minded to everything, and I'm willing to have a rational, mature, intellectual discussion about these things. It takes a lot to offend me, um, but I guess that's why I'm putting it out there right now. And this is in no way to, because I think some things are going to clash when it comes to the topic of religion. Okay. And certain beliefs, or dogma, if you will. But that's not what the show is about. I'm not going to let it get out of hand at all. And I'm just putting that out there. I don't even think it may not even go down that road. I just my experience over the years, when I post something like a biblical post, for some reason, all the time, and I try to stay away from them, certain biblical posts, the way they're structured, I guess, it'll turn into a holy war in my comment section. And I'm like, I'm super careful about what I put out there now, because I'm like, oh man, those holy wars, and people go at each other. It's vicious. So I guess that's what I'm talking about. So let's get to a little bit of the news first before we get into the topic of the Great Awakening. All right, so let me do this. I'm going to take you off screen right now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's bring this on screen. So we'll start the top news right now, and I probably should check real quick before we really start the show. Is let me go to True Social. Let me take a look. Wow. Give me 1 second. I'm seeing something I want to see. All right. So Trump put a post out about Al Sharpton, it looks like, just now. Let me grab so that's not exactly newsworthy of the show right now. But what I'll put on the screen is this. Okay. So, oops, I guess I got to do it that way. There we go. Okay, so right off the top, the breaking news is everybody's waiting to 6 o'clock. I knew I was coming on at 7 tonight, so which gave me an hour, and I was hoping that Donald Trump would post within that hour, and he did right off the top. So there it is on your screen. I know we connected it to 6 o'clock can be dangerous, which comes directly from the Q drops. As you see, it says there have been very positive discussions with Hamas and countries from all over the world, Arab, Muslim, and everyone else this weekend to release the hostages and the war in Gaza. But more importantly, finally have long sought peace in the Middle East. These talks have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. The technical teams will again meet tomorrow, Monday, in Egypt, um, to work through and clarify the final details. I am told that the first phase should be completed this week, and I'm asking everyone to move fast in capital letters. I will continue to monitor the centuries-old conflict, and then closing in capital letters. Time is of the essence, or massive bloodshed will follow. Something that nobody wants. I think that's bigger, okay, than just. It sounds like Trump giving a threat. I don't think that's the case. What I'm reading here, I think he's talking about Israel and Hamas going at it immediately, because right now there is sort of a stand down. I do know that tomorrow that Witkoff, I think it's Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, I believe they may be already in Egypt, from what my understanding, and they'll be there. Let me clarify something here right now. It's very difficult for me to follow the crowd online. Okay. I'm very open to suggestion. But the online internet rumors, when there's nothing to back it up, okay, and people just put stuff out there all the time, I stay away from that. I get a lot of that in my inbox. There's one going around right now about the end of the corporation, and there's a memo going out that people are sharing like mad. And to me, it's fake 100%, because there is no source whatsoever. Just because what you see Donald Trump's signature, anybody can make that. I can make anything I want. With the programs that I have, I can make so many fake things and put them out there. I don't do that. I don't roll like that. I don't have time for anything like that. And I don't have time to inject that kind of poison into my life. But what I'm getting at is I know that when I said Jared Kushner, I know there are a lot of people that think, oh, he's bad, he's evil, and all that. Well, there's nothing to go on with that. I've seen it all. I've seen it to where he was the Antichrist. I've seen a complete breakdown of it. I don't buy that at all. And again, I'll say it. I don't trust Israel government, and I don't trust Hamas, and I don't trust, which is connected to Iran and all that. I don't trust any of them. I do currently trust Donald Trump. Now, I will point something out to you, something important, actually. Okay. I think, according to my notes here on the screen, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you look at that there, he's right. Okay. I'm going to be very careful how to word this so I don't come across as being anti-Trump on this. But there is something that I realize is going on here. And here's what's going on. He has in capital letters there on your screen, move fast and time is of the essence. Do you know what this week is? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't hold me to this, but I think it's October 10th, which would be Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. I think this is the week of the Nobel Peace Prize. So which is the deadline of the judging, I believe. Okay. And in my heart of hearts, I know Trump is racing to get peace, and he knows that the Nobel Peace Prize is sitting in the wings right now. I'm just being realistic here. I mean, he's talked about it before, and let's be honest, you and I both know that he wants it, but I could care less, to be honest with you. I could care less about a Nobel Peace Prize or any award or anything like that. That thing doesn't do it for me at this stage of my life. I'm more interested in, and I know what it stands for and what it's about, but I'm more interested in about the here and now and getting these things accomplished. And I know President Trump is a peacetime president. I guess my point of that and mentioning that is I don't want this to cloud his judgment, if that makes any sense. So that's what's going on here. So Renee says, I do not understand the Israel, Gaza, Hamas issues. And I can't turn this show into that at all, but I've been following it for decades, if you will. And then, of course, when the birth of the internet and being able to see things, and then YouTube, you get more access to everything. And then, of course, I've been following it very close, as much as I follow Ukraine and Russia constantly, ever since October 7th. Now, all that's coming up. We're on an interesting timeline here because we have October 7th around the corner, okay, in 2 days. There's a lot happening, which I'm going to roll into about, Hillary, Comey, all this week. But when it comes to this whole thing here, on October 7th, when this went down, when Hamas went in, and I'll give you a recap, and I'll be honest with you what I said. I remember saying I broke live on the air when it happened. It was late if I remember, memory serves me right, I believe it was late Saturday night here in the U.S. Quite late. And I went on the air, and I went on all night, like 6 hours and 6.5 hours or something. And just constantly just reporting the news reports and just being totally blindsided by what I saw on October 7th. And I was in utter amazement that was happening. Okay. I said on the air that day, two things I said that were crystal clear and very important. I said, I know I said this. I told everybody, whatever you do, do not choose a side. Don't treat this like a game. This is very complicated. And just give yourself a 40,000 foot view and just observe everything. And then I also said live on the air on October 7th that I fully believed during that moment that there was no way that could have happened without Israeli intelligence knowing about it. I still believe that till this day. And there are a lot of different theories that go on out there. I know a lot of people have blamed the Israeli government of it being an inside job. Why should that shock any of us at this point? Look what we went through on September 11th, right? I don't have proof of that. I'm just going by what I know of all the years that I've been paying attention. And that particular day on October 7th, and the most guarded border on earth, which is the Israel border, allowed paratroopers, shocked me to cross on over and allow them to do what they did. So I'm still sticking with that. I don't know what happened. I don't post about that at all. I don't think I've ever posted that. I only talked about it on my podcast on the day of that big October 7th catastrophe, terrorist attack, if you will. And I'm talking about it now. So it's very complicated what's going on. I have guided you guys in explaining who Hamas is, Hezbollah, the Houthis, um, all being connected directly to Iran. Hence why we went in to bomb Iran and their nuclear facilities. Again, it's so complex. And if you look at, where does he say here? In the very beginning of this on your screen, he said it somewhere. Hamas all over the world, the weekend, and the war in Gaza, Middle East. These talks have been very revolutionary section. In Egypt, through the final details, the final phase. Oh, so I will continue to monitor this centuries old conflict. So right there, it tells you this has been going on forever. And I know a lot of people will talk about, some people are sensitive because what I saw in my experience, ever since I knew this was going to happen, okay, there are people who did pick teams, and there were Christians who immediately thought, I got to be behind Israel. And it was sad to see for me in a way. And let me explain that, okay? Allow me to. And what I meant by that is I think what you were only going off of was the word of God, but not separating that there was an evil government empire at the helm of this. So some folks didn't want to see that per se, if you will. But I'll be honest, I do not trust the Israeli government. I have seen stuff, these conflicts that have been going on between Israel and the Palestinians and the West Bank, and I've seen so many absolutely barbaric images that have haunted me up till this day, coming from both sides. They are both to absolutely blame. Nobody is innocent in this, regardless of what your belief is or what the news tells you. It's difficult, especially, I'm sickened by all the pro-Palestine stuff that is taking over our streets, our institutions, the universities. It disgusts me. These kids are playing with fire. They just don't understand that they've been weaponized by some very evil, if not the most evil people on earth. And this is why it's so complicated and complex. And I still, even that advice that I gave that day on October 7th, when I was reporting that breaking news of give yourself a 40,000 foot view, don't pick a side, and just, observe. I still do that. I haven't picked a side. I won't pick a side. Now, what is happening right now, we shall see. To Donald Trump, I hope it works out. The world hopes it works out. Well, most of the world. But at the same time, I will be more shocked if they get this solved. And when I say solved, I don't mean a ceasefire, because a ceasefire is just a temporary pause. What I mean is an absolute stoppage of war, a new world of in the Middle East, if you will. Here's the good thing. The positive thing about this whole thing, it seems, okay, that all of the Middle East countries are on board, including those outside of the Middle East. Okay. Russia is on board and backing Donald Trump with this peace plan. So it's quite interesting to see. So we're going to know this is a big, gigantic week of news that lies ahead of us. So this is one of those things. And again, I've already put too much time into this already. Okay, but I tried to explain it as best as I can and give you my personal view point, if you will. Okay. Um, Next. All right. So we have that. And then we have, let's do this. And we have this on deck. Okay. And just for the record, yeah, I'm not putting my eggs in the basket and counting on it because I don't trust Hamas. I don't trust any terrorist group. And I'm not taking that away from President Trump. It'd be an absolute divine intervention, probably, if this happens. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. So there you go. That's my post. James Comey set to be arraigned Thursday on a felony charges. And at the same time, Hillary Clinton is scheduled to testify before Congress. This all takes place on Thursday, October 9th. Note, James Comey is also scheduled to appear before Congress on Tuesday, October 7th. And I said I'm uncertain if that's still a go. I don't know if what's his name was on any Sunday night programs. I really haven't watched. I didn't even get a chance to really watch the Trump at the naval base. So I haven't. If James Comer, if he said anything, but I don't know. So here's the thing: I've been bombarded with people asking me around the clock, has Comey been arrested yet? And I've ignored everybody, not because I wanted to ignore you, because I didn't have an answer for you. Nobody had an answer. So as days have gone on, and here we are, unless it happens, great things seem to happen during my podcast. Major breaking news has happened on my podcast before. It might happen tonight for all I know. And that's why I constantly, when I'm live on the air, I'm like, let me just go take a look at things. And I'm doing that right now. And I don't see anything. Okay, so I don't see anything. All right. But again, I've ignored those because I haven't had an answer for you. And all I've been doing is thinking about it. What is going on here? Now, he's going to be arraigned on Thursday, the 9th. Hillary Clinton is supposed to be in front of Congress that same day on the 9th in the morning, which is both on Thursday. Okay. I tried to look at the Q drops when this stuff is going down behind the scenes. You don't see that stuff with me. And I'm asking myself, is there what is the logical reason behind this that they haven't perp walked Comey? Now, I saw the stories break. Was it yesterday or the day before? In the past 48 hours. Something about Kash Patel firing FBI. It made no sense to me. It was a bizarre story. Kash Patel firing FBI agent or agents, plural, I don't recall, because they refused to perp walk Comey. Well, you got an entire camp of FBI agents at your disposal, an entire village, if you will. You can just use anyone if somebody was giving Cash a hard time about that. It was a strange story to me. So I didn't post it because I wasn't really sold on it, if you will, because logically it wasn't making no sense to me. Maybe they wanted that out there. Then again, I realize at times that they want certain stories to be out there that usually aren't true, and everybody runs with them. But that's why I sit back and hesitate and I wait. So, and I bring up the first arrest. Again, if we bring that up, I think I have it. Let me bring that up for you guys. I think it's in my screenshots. I'll bring this up on your screen. Yeah, so right there. Okay. we go back to this, and again, think about this. Yesterday, Donald Trump posted, and I know it was coming out of the story with Gaza and Israel, Hamas. Donald Trump posted twice yesterday. I could bring that up too. I think I have it. Here's one of them. But he posted it 3 times. He posted that yesterday. It's now or never. Now, he posted it 3 times. One was slightly just a different angle, but the identical picture. Then he deleted one. So there were 2, and they both were, the crowd shot. It's now or never. And that's coming out of, I think that's Israel protests saying that was from yesterday. But again, I have learned that everything is connected, and you've got to pay attention to the timestamps and what he's trying to communicate with us. And that's why I immediately got that. And I thought of that because this is the only back-to-back identical Q drop, which is 37-16, 37-17. And then it made me think of this being the first arrest and asking myself yesterday, I was saying, okay, is this why they didn't arrest Comey? Is something about to break, which it can, okay, that's bigger than Comey? And they'll be pretty much arrested. So if you read that, it says first arrest will verify action and confirm future direction. And this specifically says first indictment on seal will trigger mass pop awakening. I didn't find Comey to be a mass pop awakening at all. This was very expected. We were prepared. The carrot was dangled in front of us for weeks, if not months, that it was coming. But he still hasn't been officially booked and or perp walked. And I would think that is something Donald Trump would definitely want because he knows how we're feeling out here. Okay. Dan Scavino then posted about the that one. Let me see if I have that one. Let me remove that one. Do that. And then Scavino, let's see if I have that in my this is important too. And then we're going to transition here very shortly into tonight's topic. No, but I'll do this. I'll do one better. I'll remove this. We'll just go to Dan's page. Okay. And I will show you. Okay, is that on your screen? Good. All right, so that's on your screen. So we go to Scavino's page. Again, Scavino has 2 pages right here. So it's this one here. And that was this morning. I take that back. Not that one. It was this one. It was at 12:18, and there it is. Boom. 12:18 a.m. to kick off October 4th. He said the left still can't meme. Is that on your screen? It should be. Yeah, the left still can't meme. And then somebody has it right after the rip. So drop 2344 was a delta for that day, for yesterday, October 4th. And it says, memes ready? Are you ready to see arrest? Are you ready to see pain? Are you ready to be part of history? Okay, so there's an exact match to a meme reference on the same day, October 4th, yesterday, October 4th, 2018. This is how this works, okay? And then on Facebook, if you will, Scavino's Facebook page, he did have this one right there. where it says, "Cheers to all my haters. Be patient. So much more is coming. Haters gonna hate." Now that was posted at 12:18 a.m. Uh, today, the 5th, and I haven't even looked at that yet. But back to this one, back to the left still can't meme. That's where I got the connection of him talking about arrest, and again, uh, later that day was the Donald Trump post. Okay, with the double identical back to back. Where is it? What did it say again? Having a Biden moment with the "it's now or never." Okay, so I think and I feel. No, there's another thing I know about the Mickey Mouse. That one's been so famous for forever. Some will say 1008, some will say 1009. Okay, if you really look close at the hand. Um, so 1009, is that a date? Maybe, because that's the day that Comey gets indicted. Hillary's in front of Congress. It could be something. I think it would have to be awfully big. I mean, that's a good logical guess, if you will. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Somebody just said it took forever to get here. I was showing ad after ad. Yeah, unfortunately, unless you're a subscriber over there on Rumble, you're going to get the ads. If you want no ads, just go to YouTube or Facebook. You're not going to get interrupted on my Facebook page. I know people hate that. I have nothing to do with that. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm getting. Again, we got Scavino and both Trump matching yesterday and about arrest, and that's my logical and a somewhat educated guess to the possibility of the connection. So again, we have such a big week coming up here. We'll see what happens. Okay, and that's how I do that. And I realize we're at a point in time. We have been for some time where people are just frustrated. They want to see these arrests, and I get that. Okay, everybody, yeah. Look at let's bring up your comments again. Everybody's saying, I'm ready. Okay, um, yeah. Oh yeah, you have to go to Rumble Premium to eliminate ads. But again, those are just guesses, but they're good connections. I feel, and I feel I don't put those things out publicly unless I feel pretty good about it. And again, at the end of the day, anybody who puts out Q drops and matches and comms, there are some of them people who are absolutely amazing. I don't even come close to being in their league, but and they're even taking a good educated guess. So again, I realize it's frustrating. The time has come. Patience is running thin, and that's probably a good transition. But there's one more thing I want to talk about. So let's bring this one up here. All right, so I'm bringing one more news story on your screen. No, I don't want that one. Okay, so earlier, this was Bill Mallusion, and he reported that multiple law enforcement sources, this out of Chicago, confirmed to Fox News that Chicago police officers were instructed by their chief of patrol to not, in big capital letters, not respond to Border Patrol agents' call for help yesterday after they were reportedly surrounded by a large crowd and protesters following a ramming incident and shooting of an armed woman. Chicago PD. CAD screenshot below, and there it is. I think there's audio too of it. I haven't listened to it, but I've been posting a couple times now just the words Insurrection Act on my social media platforms, and it's pretty much it doesn't need any explanation. We're what I'm seeing is that we're getting there, and stuff like this on your screen blows my mind. Um, it absolutely blows my mind that we're living in a time we're at war, folks. We've been at war, and we're really at war now. Donald Trump is back in office. It's his last term. We know that. I don't think we're going to lose the House. I don't think we're going to lose the White House in 2028. I think it's going to stay Republican. But you know that they're salivating and they want to get back in there and take control. They just want to unravel everything. And boy, I bet you $1,000,000 after what we're witnessing now and what they're using for their own propaganda to weaponize their brainwashed followers, saying Hitler and ICE is Hitler and this is fascism, and the images that are being portrayed and the screaming. They're doing everything to make this look like a Nazi Germany. When in all reality, it's just a 180. It's the complete opposite. We know that. We know we're not witnessing what they're trying to describe. They're only playing on the emotions of their base. And it works. It's working because they're out there arming themselves and taking shots at people and going as far as killing us. And so it's working. And this is why I post Insurrection Act. It's a culmination of the mainstream media propaganda, the politicians who are, especially on X, who are posting the vile garbage that they're posting. The rhetoric is on steroids right now. And it's something I never could have imagined in my lifetime. I have never entertained it. I couldn't have wrote a movie like that. Um, what is happening now is, in my opinion, probably the makings of the Insurrection Act being implemented from President Trump being around the corner. Somebody says, I'm banned from Facebook. I'm a gangster. Yeah, I know all about that. Look, nobody's banned from Facebook anymore. You can get back on. There are ways. There are ways, and it's quite easy. I'm not going to turn that show into that, but somehow get a hold of me and I'll help you out. So again, this is just looking at this story on your screen is just more added to the whole mix right now for for a reason to implement the Insurrection Act. I think it's coming, but I have no idea what the plan is, how far this needs to go for this to be done. Seeing Charlie Kirk shot and killed. How much more do we have to endure? I realize that, unfortunately, one assassination is not going to be enough grounds to implement the Insurrection Act, but the conditions. Now think about this. There's a word, and the word is conditions. And Q has talked about that. What condition can the National Guard work with the Marines? What conditions must be met in order to do so? And right now, on a daily basis, we are seeing those conditions amplified. And when does the president stop the whole thing of I'm going to send guards here, I'm going to send guards here? Then the courts come in and they stop him, and usually that gets overturned. But it's madness. And when's he going to finally say enough's enough? It's time for the Insurrection Act. I think it's about, again, if we go back to the very beginning of things, it's about having, and I believe he has it. I don't know what else he's waiting on, but having enough the percentage of people on his side to cut down on the civil unrest when he does do something like that. Q has talked about it, about being clean and swift, being shut down pretty much immediately. We're safe. So if a moment in time is coming, which it's feeling like it, um, that that will be implemented and put in place. Um, that is something that is a possibility that could have grounds to trigger a text message to you and an EBS alert. We have never received one of those where it was official. We've only received test ones. But when it comes to an emergency, an actual emergency, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. So that's where we're at right now. All right. Yeah, people say definitely an insurrection. For sure. All right. So I'm gonna get rid of that. All right, so here we go. All right. The Great Awakening. So I posted that today. We got quite a few. As a matter of fact, I'd like to share my I'm gonna share my Facebook page real quick with that post from today. We'll just breeze through a few. And then I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Don't do it yet. Just wait till I give you the signal because I'll miss out on them. Okay. All right. So I wanted to say, what is the here it is right there. Okay, there it is. So let me share this screen. Okay. All right, there I am. Okie dokie. All right, so I said what I want to know is, what does the Great Awakening mean to you? Some say it's political, some say it's spiritual. Others think it's a global shift in human consciousness itself. Is it something happening in the world or something happening inside of us? I'm curious to hear everyone's take, and that's where we're at this evening. So if we were to go down just the first few, some people say, I believe it is the world drawing closer to God, preparing for Christ's return. People are saying, a lot of people did agree with, I think it's all three, all of the above, but more on the spiritual side. Some people put some Bible quotes. Some place I think it's all the above. Noah's Ark was a great reset. So a lot of people saying combined. But what I want to hear, and I don't want to give my full take. This is why I'm saving mine for the end. Because I don't want to influence you. So here we are. We're going to go. I'm not going to bring them on the screen, but I'll bring them up on the screen. I'm not going to put that row on that side. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get it started. I want to hear from you in the comments. What does the Great Awakening mean to you? You don't have to write a book, but just break it down. Okay. Let's go. Yes, Chelsea. Let's talk about it. Let's have an adult conversation here. Let's be open about it. And let's see where everybody's at. And let's respect everybody's beliefs, if you will. Okay. And then at the end here, I'll chime in and give you a little bit of what I might take. And if I had to say it again, there's no right or wrong answer per se, but there is just where are you? What is your belief? How deep does this go? Is it news and politics and conspiracy theories? Is it spiritual? Is it a shift in consciousness? So let me know. All right, so here we go. All right. The Great Awakening, I'm assuming these are the answers, is about the corruption. Okay. Salvation. Okay. Evil exposed, full disclosure, justice, and arrests. Okay. I think people are waking up to the fact that we are being poisoned too. Okay. There we go. Anita says the Great Awakening are twofold: spiritual being the kingdom, and flesh being the world. Very good answer. You and I are in alignment there. There is no gray matter. Sin is sin today, tomorrow, and always. Righteousness is imputed to believers by God. Okay. I break from the old paradigms and shift in consciousness spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Fair enough. Good. A spiritual awakening for Jesus's return. This is where I would cause controversy. Then I don't want to do that. For me, it's spiritual. Amen. When you finally accept the Great Awakening is when you finally accept the fact that God is in control and hold on to that faith. It means having discernment and knowing. Laura says, to reveal the depth of the corruption that has existed for decades. Those who we looked up to or trusted will be exposed to their evil participation in all dark ages. Yeah. Oh, boy. I almost had a sneeze live on air. I apologize. I'm trying to stop it. Oh, that stinks. Great Awakenings, truth and peace. Spiritual, having the scales removed from our eyes, coming closer to the word of our Lord and Savior. Ascending to our higher self. What is your higher self? A change in consciousness and a spiritual shift in humanity. It's happening and can be felt by many. And this is a good comment. This is similar to the shift when America was first created 250 years ago. Again, I want to save mine. Yes, it's happening and can be felt by many. I will say this, okay, right now before I get into my spiel shortly. I think one of the reasons that I decided to do this show tonight is because of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and seeing what I'm seeing and witnessing. I am not interested in the conspiracy theories of Charlie's death. Okay. And that's not me making light of it. I'm not going there. Because the reason I'm choosing not to go there, it will distract me right now. I'm not dismissing it because I've seen questionable things, but it's not the time for me. I'm talking to third person right now. It's not time for Bruce to go down that road. What I see is a great awakening, a greater awakening as a direct result of Charlie's death. Okay. To see people that are now turning away and turning towards God has been probably one of the greatest things I witnessed in my lifetime on the scale that it has been. Okay. Does that make sense? The scale that it has been. All right. There is a shift happening. And I have a belief, now I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I have a belief that if we can have a shift in our thoughts, a union with our thoughts throughout the world, we can move mountains. I'll leave it at that right now. Okay, let's go here. To break us out of the illusion, we are living in Christ consciousness. I love that term. I love it. Riding in us all, flowing into the world. The world we live in, God didn't mean for some to have everything and others nothing. He wants us all to be abundant in every aspect. That's quite interesting. You know what? You get a little gold star. And I'm not even joking. I actually have gold stars and I pin them for just me to see that I can come back to. Um, there's a reason I did that, and it'll make sense in a little while because I'm going to introduce you to something that part of my story, a certain documentary at my time of my awakening was put into my path. And it will be controversial to some. I'll just say that. And I'm going to play a clip from it. Trust me, the opening clip, I love it. Let's go. Mass people opening their eyes of things they believe their whole lives and coming to conclusions of their lies. Okay. Trusting Jesus and the plan. Okay. My belief about the Great Awakening is the third great spiritual awakening, the final great move of God to bring many more people to Christ's salvation. Fair enough. I've gone on record to say I don't think we're in the end times, but we're in birth pains, if that makes sense. Let's see, breaking from the hypnotic trance. It's a great term, hypnotic trance. They have led us to believe was truth. Yeah. The Great Awakening is awake as to the way our government has lied to us from the beginning. True. I'm not going to put every comment on the screen. Some are in alignment with others. So, okay. I believe the world is waking up from small and huge corporations having way too much power over the people around the world. People waking up, realizing that they have the power within. God is truly our only source, I would say. He's a sauce too. That's good. I believe it's an internal change, a spiritual shift in consciousness, growing closer to God. Also, all the exposure of how corrupt the world is. Not just America, eyes wide open. The awakening to me has been sad, happy, scary, and exciting. That's a good way to describe it. It's knowing that God is in all of us. Very good. And I'll tell you what, the description there is one roller coaster ride because my personal journey going back to 2000, late 2007, that's the way I would describe it. It's been happy, scary, joyful is another word, exciting. But even during my awakening process, life went on. It's easy to say, and speed bumps, hardships, broken hearts, pitfalls. They were part of that journey. But it was during that awakening period. See, I'm a firm believer that when you awake, it's not going to be a smooth ride. Those trials and tribulations that come during your awakening can be used as growth, okay, training to take you to the next level of blessings that God has in store for you. He wants to bless you, and believe me, somebody said it, abundantly. Keyword, he does. Wants to bless you abundantly. But if we continue to live in a place of a mindset of lack, doubt, disbelief, we're always going to remain. We're going to remain there. We're never going to advance into that next level. And God has so much in store for each and every one of you. It's an unlimited supply of abundance, of gifts, of treasures. And I'm not talking physical. God knows we need a nice home. We need a home to live in. We need money to live. We need car for transportation. He knows the things we need. But when your priorities are straight and you understand how this works, the Great Awakening, and how this truly works, how you advance into a new season, if you will, in the Great Awakening, that is the key. So, how you treat your trials and tribulations during, as you see on your screen there, happy, scary, and exciting times. We can choose to be like the left, and we can choose to be a victim, which they're good at that. They have molded the left to be a victim. They have coddled them. The Biden administration did everything they could to welcome them with open arms, all the poor me's, poor me, I'm a victim, and give them a great big hug. And all of us kick us to the curb who weren't having it and didn't want no part of that crybaby victimhood. But that's what they did. And that's why you're seeing a result right now of them in the streets, kicking and screaming like mad. They can't even come to a logical reasoning conclusion. They can't have a conversation. All they do is lash out because they feel attacked if you do not agree with them. Because that is exactly what, and you can call it the enemy, the Biden administration, the deep state, mainstream media, they're all connected. That was exactly their plan, is to coddle these people and make them a victim because they knew what they would turn into. And you're seeing the direct result. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's turning more violent, as we all know. It's spiritual, the war of God and evil. People are having a hard time letting go of their beliefs. That is a very difficult one. Till this day, I still struggle with that. Till this day. Letting go of old beliefs and reprogramming your mind is something that is vital, is the word. Having the courage to let go. And I posted that. I'll bring that on your screen. Matter of fact, I'll bring that on your screen now as I continue to go through the comments. I think it's a good time for me to post that. Where's it at? I think it's right there. That it. That would be it. There we go. So there was my let go and let God post from today. And I'll just keep that on your screen. All right. Hey, Michelle. Michelle's a local to where I live. Showing all evil, bringing all to the front to make a choice between good and evil for Jesus to take this world back and reinstate peace, law, righteousness, and humanity back for all of his creations. Yeah, that's that word, humanity. I mean, what has happened to humanity? It breaks my heart, and I would love to see that restored. For the Great Awakening, folks need to go within. Everyone is going out to go out there when the answers have always been within. If we only listen and pay attention, 100% in agreement. Where I'm at right now, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, I believe every single answer to every question and problem that you may have lies within. That's where I'm at in my spiritual walk. It's all there. I said earlier in the show for example, how something small, but it's a big deal. Sometimes I'll write a post out, take me 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes. And if I'm not feeling it and my inner self is telling me, do not post it, even though I felt my ego says, look, that's good. I wrote it well. I no longer go through with self and ego. I listen to within, and that is my discernment. And I've trained myself to let go and always listen to that inward voice, if you will. That takes practice. That doesn't happen overnight. That takes time. How you get to that point of always trusting that your inner self, the inner voice that you grow to have a relationship with is the part. It's those trials and tribulations during your spiritual journey that you make a decision and have the courage to accept, and don't play the victim, and trust God that there is a bigger um, play at hand, if you will, that he has a plan if you just accept and let go of those circumstances and give it to him. And then for me, a door always opens. There was some sort of breakthrough that was like, man, I made the right decision. And that was a growing relationship over years' time, that where I'm at now, that it is undeniable to me um, when I am spoken to. And there are times that I have caught myself where I'm like, I took it upon myself. I should have listened. I'm human. Okay. I'm not perfect. And that's why I post. I'm not a preacher. All right. I'm never going to go out there and be Creflo Dollar, Joel Osteen or whatever. But it would be wrong of me to hoard what has been freely given to me, which I'm about to get into shortly. We're getting there. What time is it? Okay, we got time. What has been given freely to me, it would be a sin for me to hoard that. When I come on here and boast about my iniquities, about my downfalls, and I talk about, my addictions and the things I went through, I do that on purpose. It's not easy. I can easily feel shame. Who wants to talk about that? Who wants to publicly display that? But me, I'm in a certain place now where I'm very, very comfortable with what I do and where I'm at. And I want to shine a light, because what my great awakening journey and what God has done for me. And when I say what he's done for me, I'm not talking about having a roof over my head, a car in the garage, some money in the bank, or whatever it may be. I'm talking about what the work he has done within me, inside of me. I am still amazed. I am still floored that when my wife passed away in December of 2021, that I was able to get through that. Okay. I thought for sure I was going to eat a bullet or go out in a blaze of glory and rob a pharmacy. I mean, that may sound funny to somebody, but no, that's the honest to goodness truth. I thought that was it. That's how much in love I was. And I've always pictured her going first. Me going first instead of her. And it didn't work out that way. And how I got through that today, when I look back upon that, there's only one answer, and that is God. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And it's a miracle that I made it through that. I'm still astonished. Okay. Adriana says, the Great Awakening, and how are you? The Great Awakening is draining the swamp and exposing child trafficking. That's a big one. It's the truth of big pharma and corrupt government, very spiritual. Yeah, a lot of people went down that rabbit hole and discovered that whole thing on child trafficking, and hats off to them, for sure. And then she says Charlie led up to the Great Awakening. He's a part of it. He's a season. He's a particular season right now, and it's still there of the Great Awakening, if you will, if there is, and that's why I'm talking about it. So if there is a defining moment in world history of a Great Awakening, I mean, is this it? Are we in it? I believe we are. I believe we are. Okay. Great Awakening, the truth being told to the world. Yep. Okay. Realizing that I think we realize we've been lied to our whole life, and the world is turning back to God. Fair enough. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, and I love hearing from you guys. This is why I like this. These are the shows I like because you're carrying the show. Um, Here's a good one. We thought the enemy was from other countries. What we found out was it was right here with us. Yeah, yeah. We will have a personal relationship with our creator. I know that's a misspelling. I'm not into the religion thing much anymore. Okay, and that's fine. Um, I'm at a stage in my walk and journey that um, neither am I. Everything today for me is about a relationship, and I treat it like that relationship I had with my own spouse. You got to work on it every day and be in communication if you're going to make it work. I was married for years. And those of you who've been married for years, it takes a lot of work to maintain that relationship, that spark, and you got to go the extra mile. And communication is key. It sure is. So yeah, I understand. The light is shining so bright, it's exposing the dark, and most can see how ugly and evil it is. That's true. Uh, it is on full display. Our consciousness is evolving to the great awakening. We seek God, good and God. Very true, and it's biblical too. It's in the Bible about setting your mind on the things that are good and from above and that are lovely. Um, I made a statement. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Christianity. Um, I consider myself a Christian, but where I'm at now, I've expanded. And what I mean by that is I didn't I put myself in a box because I was told I couldn't go outside of a certain box. Okay. But today my walk is my walk. It's nobody else's. Um, my beliefs are my beliefs, but and that's all that matters. And that's what matters to you. But I'm on a journey and of discovery and again back to my wife passing away. I've made a promise to myself that I want to get as close to God before this flesh goes, before I pass. I want to see how close I can get to my creator and feel his presence. And that's something I do every day. Now, I'm no monk. My time is consumed in the work I do, but I have to make the time, and mostly at night. But um, that's very important to me and very personal to me. I've had some dark times because a person has to let go of things they thought were true, but it was hard. You have to crack eggs to make omelets. Very well put. Yeah, I knew it wasn't sauce. I knew it was source. I had your back. Um, all right, let's go to Renee. Being honest and truthful right now. And that's what I want you to be. I love this. Being honest and truthful right now and don't want to seem negative. I believe God can do all. I've just personally seen through my relationships with people, some family and closest to me. You need to keep praying for all of it. Truth. It's still, it didn't come on your screen. I got to read it off screen. I see the whole thing didn't come up there. So I'll finish reading it. It's still so far away for some, but I have faith it will happen. Yeah. Yeah. I just personally seen through relationships with people. Yeah. Look, I'm not 100% sure if this is what you're meaning, but I have lost relationships, um, friendships during this process, especially during that whole COVID thing. I lost a lot of people because I was calling out the BS and the whole COVID thing. And yeah, I lost some friends. And also letting go and letting God, as you see my post on that screen there, comes with, unfortunately, you have to have sacrifice. And that's that courage that we talked about. Do you have the courage to walk out in faith and trust God? And sometimes that courage is going to take you to release yourself from a toxic relationship. One, a relationship that you've probably been with somebody for 30 years. I don't know. But you know deep down inside it's not healthy. But you only hold on to it because it feels like it's the only thing you know, or you're at a stage in life where you feel that another door will never be open for you again. And that's just your negative, doubtful thinking. Going back to what I said, God has an abundance of gifts waiting on you and blessings. And it's just up to you to have the courage to step out in faith and trust and release and let go. That's what he's waiting for. It's exactly like Christ on water telling Peter, walk out on water. And then he took his eye off the prize, which was Christ, and he got distracted by the storm. It's the same exact thing. We continue to live in fear, and God is trying to show us a better way. I love seeing all the college kids turning turning to Jesus. Okay, I do too. I think it's wonderful. One of the greatest things I've ever seen. There are a lot of comments going here right now. I've got to speed through them a little bit more. Um, yeah, everything we have been taught. I would say mostly everything, not exactly everything, but I understand what you're saying. Um, I know many. There are, and that's why I put a disclaimer on this show. Let's not let's not attack each other at all. I don't want to attack anybody, but yes, where I'm at, where I feel saddened, there are many Christ followers who do live in a bubble because they're afraid to step out in certain areas, and it saddens me because there's so much more out there. I know a lot of old school Catholics and Christians, and they're still wonderful people. I'm not judging them, but I just think they're shorting themselves. They're shorting themselves because if you really want to do a deep dive into Scripture, and I'm looking forward to that. You will be notified. It's gonna towards later. It's the month just started, but later in the month about that woman's Bible study. I think it's wonderful. I'm still working on that, trying to get you guys a leader or two. I'm not going to be doing that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, during my journey, I realized there are many areas that I could step out in, and I was being reserved about certain things, and maybe I'll touch on it here in a moment. Um, let's see. There you go. Okay. The great awakening for me was realizing that while I thought we were in modern times, we are still very much in biblical times. The whole kid's blood used for youth and healing equals biblical, just wow. Interesting. um, if everyone just took some time to reflect on the struggles in their life, they will see God in their life. We all have our struggles. Hmm. And here I am with one of my top favorite followers. um, and I'll do you a favor. I will throw my 2 cents in under this comment because it doesn't sit well with me. I disagree. Okay, let me explain. And I think I understand what you're trying to say, but I don't think you should take time to reflect on the struggles in life. Okay, those struggles are just a tool to try and get you to God. Um, if you're going to set your mind on anything, don't set them on struggles because you're gonna stay in that same place. Okay, set your mind on the promises of God. Set your mind on the things that you want to see happen in your life, and live in that moment as if they have already, as if your prayers are already answered. Live like your prayers are already answered. Okay. Look at it this way. You order something from Amazon. I bet you have more faith. Some people have more faith in that Amazon delivery driver because they're used to ordering packages, and it gives you a day and then a box with a time zone, and it shows up pretty much all the time. And you become so comfortable with that and relying on that. It's the same thing with God. That's where you need to get. Okay. Put more faith in the God than the Amazon driver. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Focus on the promises of God. Focus on the abundance of God. Focus on those things that you pray about and you want in your life. Because I'm a firm believer, this is where I get crucified for using this particular word. Saying, oh, a Christian can't say that. That's New Age stuff. That's why I always believe the universe never, ever says no. And you're probably thinking to yourself, some of you, what do you mean? Sometimes God says no in our prayers. I don't believe that. That's me. That's where I'm at in my life. Okay. Now, I'm not saying pray for a bag of cocaine or a dump truck of drugs to pull up to your house. I don't think that's how it works. But what I mean by that is I don't believe it understands the word no. We are the one who put the limitations on things because of our negative thinking. We can pray all we want and ask God for healing or advancement, financial advancement, or a new job. But if you pray and you're sincere, but as soon as you're done praying and the next day you go around worrying about if you're going to get that job or that healing, you've already just squashed your prayer. You have to walk around. This is part of my awakening. You have to walk around and act as if you've already received that from God. Now, when it shows up is not up to me. It's up to God, but it's up to you to remain in faith as long as it takes for it to show up, for your prayer to be answered. That's why I always would use a term. Just when breakthrough's about to happen, a lot of people give up. That's the part where I got to dig my heels in. I have learned to never give up no matter what, because breakthrough, prayers answered, blessings are just around the corner. Too many people give up too quickly. Focus on the promises of God. I think I'm on fire tonight. Okay, I got to fast forward. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. Okay. And that's fair. Somebody did say, and into that, he sometimes says, not now. Not now is fair, very fair. Okay. That's my point of not knowing when it will arrive, but it's our job to remain in faith. It could be a day, it could be a week, it could be 10 years. And that sucks. Think about what we've gone through. Think about what we have gone through since this whole drain the swamp and Q. It's been almost 10 years. This is why I feel inside of me, this is a moment where I have my heels dug in. And I know that breakthrough is around the corner. And I promise myself publicly that I will be one of those people who never wavered. And it's going to come down to I told you so, but I'm not going to gloat. Hey, 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 hey. You see that comment on your screen? If I had advice to give to you tonight, that's one of them. Neville Goddard is huge in my life. I listen to Neville every night before I go to sleep, and I fall asleep to Neville. If you don't know who he is, that is up to you to go on your own journey to find out. Okay. Yes, I did see that Scott Jennings is going to be. By the way, I'm moving to Strongsville. It looks like I am. But yeah, I saw Scott Jennings is going to be here. I've been to the local. I was there it's at the local. It's called when Vivek Ramaswamy was there, and I get alerts from the Strongsville GOP. Yes, I saw that Scott's going to be there. Matter of fact, I just saw that today. I forwarded it to somebody. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end the show on my comments, okay? And I'm going to play a little clip for you. And I want you to... Oop, I got to get that off the screen. All right. Okay. So... So if you're new to the show, again, welcome. And a little bit about my educational background to do this. Everybody seems to have jumped in, want to be a news reporter, be a podcaster, and that's all good. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you take it serious. But I have a background in television production, broadcasting, back in the day, early 90s. And I have an educational background from that. I've worked in the field in many areas, been heavily involved in a lot of things, whether I was a camera operator for many years. I was very good with the camera, editing, producing, directing. My strong suit is directing live events. I'd rather be not on camera right now, and I'd rather be the guy behind the scenes directing this whole show. That's where my strong suit. I studied news. I worked with a lot of news people. Never wanted to be on screen, but this is me being out of my comfort zone. So that's my background. That's what I bring to the table when it comes to news reporting and things like that. I will say this, that television broadcast, media broadcast, and working in media was probably the only thing in life that I was really good at. I enjoy it. It's a passion. I still enjoy it today, obviously. And that's one thing I really never screwed up, if you will. So I'm a very transparent person. And I have talked about, I'm not going to go down this road, but I'm going to give it to you in a recap because there are new people here. Short, quick recap. I'm very transparent, and I talk about me coming from a background of darkness. I've never talked about my childhood. There's a great deal of trauma there, if you will. And let's just put it this way. My entire life, for the most part, I never believed in myself. I didn't think I was good enough. I always, the way things were instilled in me, perhaps, I'm not blaming my parents, but the way I allowed things to be instilled in me, I didn't believe in myself. I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I wasn't part of a certain class. These people are always going to be better than me. I'm never going to be able to achieve certain things. I'm just going to live in my lane and settle for less. That's that's the game that the devil ran on my mind for a large majority of my life, from a child all the way into adulthood. I bring up me going learning broadcasting intelligence, something I was very passionate about. And I graduated at the top of my class, and I knew that was the area that, okay, nothing was going to get in my way. All right. And it didn't. And I was very successful at that. And now I have my own company and growing. So, but along the way, I had great times in life. Married a wonderful woman and wonderful kids and all of that. But, I believe today, in a way, and I want to be careful with this because there are people who do listen to me who do struggle with demons and addictions and things like that. I don't want you to look for an excuse. This is a process in recovery and my great awakening, my spiritual awakening of a journey that led me to this place. Um, I believe that how do I put this? Today I'm in a good place, okay? But like I said, I didn't believe in myself for a very long time. And for many, many years, I was trapped in bondage in my own mind. Okay. That that led me, I found comfort in drugs and alcohol. Man, it all started with prescription pain meds. I found comfort in that. I found a way to escape. And then, of course, with science and biology, if you will, and all that, I became addicted. And for many, many years, that journey was hell. And I didn't even know it at the time. Understand, this is a kid who was born in the Catholic Church, baptized, raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school, the whole nine, first communion, confirmation, right into high school, Catholic school, played sports in high school, played hockey, Catholic school, the whole nine. I had to relate. I can look back and say I did have a minimal relationship with God. I had an understanding, at least from the Catholic Church, who God was. I had good things instilled in me during those years and that journey. But like any rebellious kid, if you will, you get to a certain point and you go off on your own and do your own thing. Drugs led me to that. And I went through extreme darkness, for sure. So fast forward now. All right. And again, if you want to hear my testimony, I know I have it somewhere else, but one day is coming where trust me, you're going to be able to hear and read the whole thing. But there was a time where I got in a lot of trouble. I graduated to new drugs, harder drugs, and those drugs made my life a lot worse and the darkness much worse. And then believe me, I opened a portal. Drugs and alcohol will open a portal up that you do not want to venture down. People who survive addiction and come out of it, and they come out of it the right way into a road to recovery, if you will. Those are some of the most grateful people you will ever meet in your life. They know what they escaped from. They know the hell that they got out of, and they realize they can't play Russian roulette and go back out there. And even though many of us do, and I was one of those that would keep going back out and trying to test the waters, if you will, and that's a form of insanity. But making it back and surviving, and when you finally get to that point of saying enough's enough, I'm tired, I'm sick and tired of being tired. But I bring up addiction in my journey because it led me to God. Now, even though I knew God for a long time, I knew that I had to awaken. And I posted in there that it took me a long time to understand that drugs and alcohol were just a symptom of my disease. Okay. And I had a thinking problem. And so I was very interested when I finally surrendered fully. Okay. I was very interested in changing the way I thought. I heard it many times. I just didn't know how or where to start. Okay. So I started along that journey and I realized what time it is. So I'm not going to keep this too long. Um, I started along that journey, and my journey started inside of a prison cell. A lot of people talk about, and this is very true, and I can vouch for this. A lot of people, when they are, and I broke the law because my addiction led me to stealing things and writing bad checks and misuse of credit cards and all that stuff to feed an addiction. I had a monster to feed. Um, I look back upon it now, that saved my life. And a lot of people talk about, and this is true, there are a lot of guys who, because they're talking about Diddy just recently, and I laugh about it. I was laughing at the Diddy trial because I was reading the transcript coming out of the courtroom and hearing everything he said. And then you can go back and go on Inner City Press and you can see the whole entire transcript. It's not fair for me to judge, but I knew the position he was in because I used to be in that position, and all he talked about, he's a changed man and God and everything else. I'm like, I know that song and dance. But there comes a point where people truly do surrender, and because you get tired of it. And that was one of my moments that I did. And that was the moment that I was gifted with the fire of the Holy Spirit. And I wasn't ready for that, but it happened. And I carried that fire for a few years. I went on to do wonderful things and working in recovery and opening up a treatment center for men of a nonprofit 501c3 to help men recover from alcohol and drugs. One of the greatest highlights of my life. I only did it because of my faith and my belief, because I changed my thinking. And then I talked about, don't focus, one of the comments, don't focus on your struggles, focus on the promises of God, believe as if it already happening. That was my awakening. And my awakening was, I realized that the things I was taught weren't enough in a sense, but they just weren't instilled in me. I said, why didn't people, or why didn't don't take offense to this, why didn't the priest explain this better every time he came in to do Bible study? I was young, of course, but I went on my own journey. I did it myself. Okay. And what I mean by that, let me put a caution on that. I'm not talking about recovery. I'm not talking about doing things myself that way. I went through the program, the rooms of AA for many, many years, leading and being involved, just totally involved. A big sacrifice in my life for sure, but a healthy one, a great one. And, but the journey that I went on was my thinking that I did myself. And I created this relationship of trusting God and surrendering absolutely everything. My great awakening started when I no longer made deals with God, because deals don't work. I don't do deals with God, but I tapped out. I literally tapped out. I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I don't even know if you're real, but please come into my life. I can't do this anymore. Show me the way. It's more dramatic than that, a few tears, but that's what happened. That was the beginning of my journey. And then I went on this journey. Time goes forward. I get out. I work in recovery. I'm getting involved and active and everything else. But this time, I'm a different man. And the man that at that particular time years ago was somebody who was very, very focused. I didn't want to settle for less. I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was at that time. I knew eventually I'd get into broadcast media, but I knew this was a season in my life that God was showing me I needed to get involved, get out of self, help other people. He was showing me this journey. And he was, to be honest with you, he was preparing me for this time, this moment, for these platforms, this microphone. And then I went on this journey in discovering people, like somebody put on the comment, and I'm not looking at your comments right now, but I'll get back to them. Neville Goddard. And I started studying the masters. So the Bible came first, studying scripture. And the scriptures I really studied, Proverbs was every day. And then I not cherry picked, but I sought after every scripture that was about the way we thought, thinking, and I dissected it. And I started to realize this is bigger than it was. you read it, you could read scripture and kind of be like, yeah, that's great, and just read it and go through the motions. But then when I really dived into it, I'm like, there's a lot more here. There's something here that I'm tapping into. And I was tapping into it, combining that with um, some great leaders and people. What I mean by that, spiritual leaders. Example, Neville Goddard being one of them. And then I'm dealing other leaders who not necessarily Christian, and this is where I'm me stepping out of my box, but listening, but their teachings were biblical as well. I'm starting to combine all these things and put these puzzle pieces together and realizing, that was the guilt I was talking about earlier. Like, man, am I allowed to do this? Step outside the Bible or whatever. And I do that. And I found a path, and it takes great discipline to constantly learn how to think on a daily basis. This is part of my awakening. This is the big deal of my awakening in life, is to realize that I can control absolutely everything about my circumstances in life. That comes down to my thoughts and comes down to my entire emotion system. Okay. How to control anger. And, there's nothing wrong with getting angry, feeling sad, sorrow, and all that. Nobody expects you to, like when my wife died, man, that was terrible. It was rough. But I knew over time that my emotions were a mechanism, like an alarm system. And I knew what to feed into and what not to feed into, or to drown myself in sorrow a little bit, but to get out of it. I knew when to pull out. That's how my life is today, every single day. I watch what I think. I know how to cast down strongholds. I know how to quiet the mind. As crazy as that sounds, and everything that you and I deal with on a daily basis, and all this crazy, crazy news, I have to find a way to calm the mind, slow the mind down. I become pretty much my own master at that right now. But I grow every single day. I learn to, I study, and I've talked about it many times. I'm fascinated with the human mind. And that's in all aspects and all teachers. And I want to know from all of them, all the great teachers. I want something from all of them. I want to know something. And I constantly read and study, whether it's video. I want something from that. And I take something from that. It's helped me fantastic. And it's been my great awakening, realizing that I can live an amazing, abundant, peaceful, joyful life. Even during those hardships that come along the way, I'll be able to get through those and get through those storms and not have to deal with them like I used to by turning to drugs and alcohol, and that will take me back into a pit of hell, because I realize that the devil will find a back door. It has happened to me along my journey. The devil has found a back door. Okay. But what do I do when I do stumble? Let me clarify something here. You will stumble, not if, it's when. You will stumble. But how you get back up and dust yourself off, that's the key. Okay. That's the key. Don't wallow in pity. Don't wallow in self pity. That is the devil's playground. Okay. Being a part of is big deal. This is why I'm very vocal about the Facebook community page, because I give my gratitude to the Facebook community, because I know what it's like to be a part of. Even though this is a new world and it's digital, I get it. But being a part of something, that's why I believe, you going to church, that's a community. Okay. The rooms of recovery, it's a community that is healthy, that is good. I recommend it. Top of your list, being a part of. All right. Try not to do these things alone. Only thing I mentioned that I do alone is my particular journey of learning, the discovery of learning how to think properly. Um, I could never report the news, give a podcast like this, or put out any words of wisdom like I do, if it wasn't for this particular journey that I went on. All the credit goes to my surrender and having the courage to do so. That's all I did. I had the willingness to surrender and having the courage to trust. That was it. And God did the rest. I continued to do that, and I continued to change and direct my thoughts and the way I think and right the wrongs. Apologize to someone when it's rare, but I apologize to someone if I feel like I was out of line. That's cleaning my side of the street. I want none of that in my life. So here's what happened. Check this out. I want to show you something. Let me see something. Is anybody with me still? I didn't even look. I haven't been looking at the comments. You guys still out there? All right. All right. So check this out. And I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. This is the controversial one here. Where's it at? I got to go to YouTube. Okay. Okay, right there. So we're going to share this screen. So check this out. People will call this new age garbage. And some people would say that's not Christian doctrine and all that other stuff. Hey, look, this happened to me. All right. And this was in 2008. Pretty much mid 2008, probably autumn. Yeah. And I'm really on this journey now, and I'm of self-discovery and learning to think and everything else. And that's when I'm trying to put two and two together and understand thinking. And that's when I was introduced. I was at a library, and I was in a DVD section, and I think I said I'll look for a movie to watch. And this DVD is sticking out, literally sticking off, almost about to fall off the shelf. And I go to grab it, see, I don't know what it is. I look, and this video, don't run away from me. Let me finish explaining. This video is called The Secret. Okay. And it's about the law of attraction. Well, I took an interest in it right away because here I am on this journey of trying to understand how my thinking works, trying to take biblical scripture of what Christ said about our thinking. And then this falls into my lap. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a look at it. And a lot of people say that particular documentary, and I'll play a clip from it, is about attracting physical things like a house, a car, etc. And it's kind of based on that. Okay, it's just a real broad perspective. That's just a tipping point. There's so much more to it. That's why I want to put caution. Don't just get into this to attract things into your life. Okay, it's an inside job. Work on the inside. But to the beginning of this video just threw me for a loop. Okay, and I look back upon it now. When I look back upon The Secret, check this out. I want you to see something. All right, let me bring it on your screen. This is just the opening. Okay, I gotta bring it on your screen. Hold on. Okay, is that on there? Yes, we go. Okay. All right. So this is just the opening. I want you to see something.
Throughout history, all the great minds, all the great leaders, all the great achievers, they have something in common. Now the great glimmering of truth can be revealed again.
You know,
I'll keep it going.
Secret gives you everything you want. Happiness, health, and wealth.
You can have, do, or be anything.
You won.
Okay,
I
so
see many miracles take place in people's lives. Financial miracles, miracles of physical healing.
okay, I'm going to stop it there. I want to show you something in particular. Look at this again. All right. This came back to me during the Great Awakening of what we're talking about when it comes to politics and news and all that. Okay. I believe this part right here. Look at, watch. I'll walk you through it. The secret. Well, let's go back. I think this is right there. Yeah. Okay. The secret was buried. The secret was coveted. The secret was banned. The secret was suppressed. Now look at this. Look what they're doing. The secret was suppressed. And look at the room, what it's showing you. Look at that shot right there. Okay? I want you to understand what that symbolizes right there. You are looking at an imagery, a symbolism of the deep state suppressing the secret. What is the secret? The secret is learning how to think, but they decided to bury it. If you go through the Q drops and look what Q has told you, they are telling you the exact same thing. These are the 1%ers. I'm not talking about the wealth per se. They know the secret is the key to awakening. That's what that symbolizes going all. This was shot in 2007, this documentary. But when I go back and look upon it, it's like they nailed this opening and it's so relevant today. And if you go into Q drops, you realize that the deep state is trying to control absolutely every area of your life and take things away from you. Now we can go all the way back to biblical times, the Council of Nicaea, Constantine, and when they judged on what books go into the Bible. That's an entirely another show. Okay. But my point is think about it now. Q tells us all the time, they want you divided. They think you are sheep. They think you are stupid. Okay. This is why they suppress things. They control things. And what's the number one thing they want to control? They want to control your thinking. Hence, they fear something called the Great Awakening, because you're tapping into source, you're tapping into God, you're tapping into something much bigger in consciousness. And we're doing it as a collective on this planet right now. This is why I felt the time was right to start talking about this and periodically to continue talking about it, because there is a collective consciousness going on right now that is unifying around the globe, and they are terrified of what is happening on this planet. This is why we are at the point we are at right now, and hence the Great Awakening. I'm not saying I'm selling the secret. Don't go by just that. You've got to have biblical doctrine. You got to have biblical principle. You got to have all that in there and learn how to tie these things in. But the law of attraction is a real thing, but learn how to use it. Learn how to think. And attracting, that is when you know your priorities and you trust God, because he is the source. Okay. This is the reason the media lies to you. This is why for years, you've been coming to my page, getting the real news, because of all the bullshit that's going on out there. And they're constantly lying to you. And they're in the streets now because they've turned their sheep followers into little anarchists. Okay. And the mainstream media is just going after you relentlessly, and they're taking shots at us because they know I believe they know there's the secret, and they don't want the secret to get out. And the secret is a collective great awakening, knowing the truth, and the truth lies within. That's what this whole thing's about. I hope I made sense this evening. That was a solid 2 hours. So I hope it was a good podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, I would like to do more. I'd be honored to do more. Um, Based off of this was such a short podcast, really, even though we did 2 hours. I really only did an hour of this because the first half was news. But um, personally, I have so much more to offer. Um, I'm just here to guide, advise people, and just tell you what worked for me. Okay. The name of the clip I showed, there's a documentary called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And again, caution. The caution is it teaches you the law of attraction. It teaches you how to think. And everything they say in there, okay, this is where some Christians attack me at the time when I bring this up because, like, no, 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 no. I'm not new age thinking and religion. There are things in there, dismiss kind of like don't give too much credence to getting a new house and a car. You do need those things. You can do those things. We all need those things, but it's bigger than that. It's about tapping into God and learning how to think. It's about how you think and controlling your thoughts and learning that your emotions just don't rule you. You rule your emotions. Okay. These things I have learned on my journey along the way, and it's changed my life dramatically. And it's brought me peace. It's brought me understanding. It's brought me gratitude every day that I wake up. So, again, I can come back. We could talk about certain things. I could do an entire podcast on Neville Goddard. I can even talk about Dr. Wayne Dyer, I thought was encouraging. I could talk about so many great teachers. And I do this till this day. I haven't stopped. I still feed my mind till this day with the greats and the Bible. Okay. All the time. Because it's a daily practice. It's just like training, just like in the gym. You got to do it every single day, but the reward is great and your life will change dramatically. And those things that, unfortunately, if things are taken away from you and some things that you got to make some sacrifices of some toxicities in your life, I promise you, God will open a door for you and give it to you even better than you could ever imagined. Trust God. And when you pray, don't waver. Act as if. The Bible tells you that. Act as if it's already arrived. Act as if. Feel it. The key is feeling. Feel that God has answered your prayer of healing. Feel it that God has already answered your prayer of that financial difficulty you're in. Feel it that he's given you that inner peace. You already have that inner peace, even though your body is rejecting it and your mind is rejecting it. Okay? That is what you're up against. Your job is to believe it. And if you constantly do that every single day, it'll become like muscle memory. It'll become so easy to you. It'll become routine. That's become your new entire life. All right. Thank you very much. And again, like I said, I have a lot more to offer. I just didn't know when the time was right to unleash this. And I feel the globe is awakening and I feel the time is right now. And I would love to just share the things that I have learned along the way to bring you this peace in your life and to allow the blessings that a lot of people are blocking right now in your life to allow them to flow into your life. So, okay. All right. So again, I appreciate it, guys, very much. There you go. Give me homework. Research Neville Goddard. Love it. Yeah, that is the man. Okay. Check out The Secret, but you're going to learn about thinking and a law of attraction. That is just a part of your journey. Don't use it as the big part. Remember, I will say it now. Believe in the teachings of Christ. It's there in black and white. Okay. In the word. But don't feel guilty of venturing out and reading and other things because there are some great teachers out there. They may not be Christian, but they teach Christian theology and principle because a lot of the great teachers will tell you that the greatest teachers, all of it is connected and they will always give praise to the Bible because that's where it's at. and they just add a little bit more and they dissect it and they help you along the way. That's it. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out. So you have a wonderful evening. Let me go. You know what? Let me check the news just in case. I know the drill. I'll leave, and then there'll be a national emergency. Let me look. Okay, we look good. All right. So, all right. Have a wonderful evening. All right. Bye bye.